We now have our favorite archer. Okay, axes are finesse weapons. Wait, did we see this one? No, it's a different one.
Axes are actually finesse weapons. In fantasy fiction, swords are light, fast weapons wielded by dexterous rogues, while axes are slow and
No, I think we
ponderous
did see this one.
and wielded with brute force alone.
Because I was like, I love throwing axes. I know it's probably not great for fight because he makes a lot of good points, but man, throwing axes are so fun.
Which might just about work for chopping wood, but if you're going up against somebody else with a weapon, it's not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Historically, axes used in battle were a lot lighter than the ones we chop wood with. And while they're more front heavy than a sword, they needed to be used with precision.
Yeah.
Both of these have an optimal range, but outside of that range, the sword will still cut, or the axe can get hooked on a weapon and potentially taken out of my control. And while the sword's guard can protect my hand from incoming attacks, the axe doesn't have one. So my blocks either need to be more creative or more precise. Ultimately, any combat style requires more than just brute strength.
You can unga bunga, Sag.
But don't underestimate the dexterity involved in wielding an axe. This is a dog.
Puppy! We're gonna need a video of Bloom's dog pow-powing. It has to happen. Oh my god, what a cute puppy!
For thousands of years, people have charged into battle with animal companions. And throughout that time, dogs have been used for hunting, warfare, and personal defense. They can be trained to follow you on your travels and fetch the things you shoot. But this dog isn't really trained for any of that. This is Zorro. And all he wants to do is play, whether that's fetch or tug of war. And he would be a terrible combat dog. Because despite having the jaws of a wolf, when he fights with his paws like a boxer. So when my character summoned him in a recent episode of Min-Maxed, to honour that, I got him to attack the enemy by going, pow pow! And mauling them to the floor. So while he's not exactly...
That is so cute. All right, things to teach my dog, go pow pow and it just attacks me, like lovingly. That's so cute.
The ultimate battle hound. He's still a fantastic animal companion.
He's so
Happy
cute.
birthday, Zorro. Can you shoot a
it's his birthday. Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful dog.
sword from a bow? Whether their regular arrows aren't working or they've simply run out. Archers in fiction.
I remember being hecka impressed because, like, this is crazy because you think, like, no, it's not going to work. It kind of works.
Occasionally end up shooting things that are generally considered non-standard. But arrows are designed for shooting from bows. And most random objects don't have that. With no knock on the end, there's nothing to hold it on the string. And if it's too short or too heavy, then you're going to have some slight range issues.
Yeah.
And a sword is even worse. A lot of sword blades have two edges, which is not a fun thought. And even if it's single-edged, there's usually a few things that would get in the way. But if you use a draw style that holds it onto the string, you can shoot something that doesn't have a knock. And while a simple buffy stick tends to tumble in the air, if it's heavy enough, you've got a slightly better chance to do some damage. But even a heavyweight bow is designed for shooting things in the range of 100 grams. So for heavier objects, it might be more efficient to simply throw them.
Yeah.
But just because something's a bad idea,
I haven't seen a puppy in that one before.
And while swords might not always work, if you're willing to go dwarf style, you can shoot a melee weapon out of a bow.
Love that.
This is gorgeous. Now it looks like there might be some
I like this one. That one's cool.
filters going on. I'm hoping it's not AI, but I've got a lawn full of buttercups. So there's only one way to find out.
2 hours later? Oh my god. I'm sure they're full off, but that looks so cool.
Time to see how it shoots.
Ah. Yeah, it was not like the thing.
That was very fun.
Feeling bonita.
Turns out you don't really need filters. This is absolutely gorgeous. And there you have it, a bouquet of flowers.
A bouquet of flowers. Ah.
This is my new favorite historical archery image.
Oh,
not just because it's a skeleton shooting a bow, which is cool as hell.
Which is still sick.
But also because of how he's shooting the bow.
Yeah, 3.
Found in the crypt of a church in Prague, this image shows an archer with a recurved bow, their weight forwards on one foot, and the bow partially drawn in a kind of stalking stance. But instead of using just one arrow, this particular skeletal archer is using 3. Which means one of two things. The first one is that all the arrows are on the string, ready to shoot at a single target. But a closer look at the bow hand shows that only one of the arrows is actually on the thumb, which tends to have mixed results. So what might be being shown here is only one arrow on the string, allowing them to be shot one after the other at up to 3 different targets. And the stance for it is a really nice match for the pose in the picture. But whether we're looking at a speed shooter or a trick shooter, people have been drawing their fantasy OCs for hundreds of years. Archery is boring. Modern target archery can be very satisfying and takes a lot more skill than people think.
Yeah.
But a bunch of people standing in a line and very slowly shooting at something you can't even see isn't always the most exciting thing to watch. Hollywood tries to fix this by introducing...
I don't know. I think it's interesting, especially when they show it like hitting the target afterwards. You're like, ooh, dang. Like, I wish they had it in like slow motion, so like that would be really interesting, but me shooting my bow, I haven't shot a bow in years. Oh my god.
Rapid shooting, superhuman agility, and shooting at multiple targets. But there is a real-life version of archery that already has those things.
Yeah?
Based on the historically overpowered combination of being out of your enemy's reach and faster than they can catch, horseback archery was the foundation of multiple historical empires and was arguably the most deadly combat style in history. And I want to give it a go. Combining trick shots, speed shooting, and rapid movement, I just have one problem with it. I'm not very good at riding a horse, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Ooh. I mean, what if the horse is running?
Why is this arrow a trap? History has produced lots of weird arrows, including but not limited to fire, rope, poison, and slashing. And this is a real-life arrow of disarming. But unlike some of the others, this one only works when it's shot by your enemies. Let me explain. One of the greatest weaknesses of archery was ammunition, with longer battles often being decided by who runs out of arrows first. But if you're not careful, the arrows that you send downrange can end up being used against you. So some archers got crafty. Attaching a socket to your bow means your arrows don't need a notch cut out to be able to sit on the string, allowing you to make arrows quicker and more cheaply, or even in a pinch, shoot things that aren't arrows at all. And if your enemy's not got one of these, there's no risk of them shooting it back. But this is even trickier. Hidden inside the nock of this arrow is a bit of razor blade, which isn't a problem for me because I can just put it into the socket and shoot it normally. But now if an enemy archer is trying to conserve ammunition and they pick this up, the results could be catastrophic.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, I remember being impressed by that because that's crazy. Oh. He will be missed.
What? You mean this? Here's what's going on. Bows shoot arrows by pulling back and releasing the string. Weak bows take less force to pull the string than stronger ones. So if the bow is weak enough, the weight of the bow creates a small amount of pull, which we can increase by making the bow heavier and by pulling it faster. And if you do that sideways, you can generate enough force to launch an arrow, leading to some of the dumbest trick shots I've ever tried to do.
Dumbest? That looks awesome. Hello?
Why did the Amazons cut off their breasts? According to classical
boob got in way. TLDR.
mythology, the Amazons were a culture of female warriors so dedicated to battle that they would remove...
Very dangerous, though. I mean, he's very skilled, so it makes sense where he's able to do it. You know what I mean?
...one of their breasts to make it easier.
They did what? He said what he said.
...to draw a bow. But was that really necessary? It's a common conception that archery is for scrawny twinks and the occasional muscular warrior, and that anyone who doesn't fit that mold might have problems. And if you've ever done archery at a summer camp, you'll know that the classic archer's stance has a tendency for the bowstring to catch on protruding chests, stomachs, elbows, and basically anything it can find. But what you might not know is that it's not the only stance. In both modern and historical archery, some schools would teach different stances for different body shapes. For instance, the Ottoman Mamluk school involved a stance that was very square onto the target, turning the shoulders like this, to allow for a larger stomach, and so by a similar principle, standing a little bit offset from the target would allow you to keep the string away from your chest. Or failing that, they could have just worn some chest protection. But given that varied techniques exist to accommodate for everything from short necks to protruding elbows, I can't help but wonder whether the Amazons were just really into body mods.
Oh. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any recommendations for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comments below.